Yeah.
Got your name right, headed back to your place. I done fell in love with your taste. Never get enough of your fragrance. If it's a slow thing, no thanks. Unless it's a lips and slow dance. Cause I've been holding it down. So now that you're here, you gotta stay with me, stay with me. Now that you go to myself, why you gotta stay with me, stay with me. I ain't letting you so far out. Like I said, you're the soundtrack. Bring me back in focus. But when the summer's been right now. I'm on your way right now. Yeah. I'm on your vibe now. You got me on your side now. Yeah. I'm on your way right now. Yeah. I'm on your way right now. I'm on your way right now. Yeah. I'm on your vibe now. You got me on your side now. Yeah. I'm on your way right now. Yeah. I'm on your way right now. So fresh, so clean. Love me in and out. I'm feeling lean. And I'll be down now. Anytime you call me, I'll be down. I'll be down. Because I love and I love and I love and I love you only. Because I need and I need and I need and I need you more. Yeah, you know I run and I run and I run and I run. Fly, we can fly in the sky in the night. Put me on me and love me alive. I'm on your way right now.
Alrighty ho, let's get straight into this. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see me? Let me get a little 888 in the old chat if you guys can. Let me start recording. Get into Hey, what's going on, boys? What's good, Tom? What's good, Charlie? What's good, Amit? What's good, Keelan? What's good, Ali? What's good, Harry? What's good, Antonio? What's good, Johnny? What's good, boys and girls? How is everyone feeling on this fine? Where are we tuning in from? Obviously, I'm out in Thailand. We've got people from all over the states, all over the world. Where is everyone tuning in from today? I'm curious. England? Nice. Bangkok? Eastland? Well, I've never heard of that before. Netherlands, British Columbia, England. Ah, okay. So we're global. Estonia, let's go. Oh, Estonia. I was gonna say, bro. I was like, what the hell? So Oh, Texas in the building. Let's go. So, with no further ado, let's get straight into this. Let me start recording and then we're gonna get right into this. So, you guys know how we do it. All right, obviously, right at the start, first thing we always like to do is do a recap of what happened since our last stream, obviously on Tuesday. Any trades we took. I obviously remember on Tuesday we took a NASDAQ trade together. Ends up being a break-even trade, is what it is. And then yesterday, obviously, we were still talking about that bullish dollar narrative. So I ended up getting in a dollar long slash euro pound short, which I'll break down for you guys as well. It gave a nice 1 to 10. And then, of course, we'll look at the markets and see, if there is any opportunities that we can actually, take today. So first things first, and of course, we've got a lot of economic data to speak about as well, because obviously, yesterday we did have some inflation data. And guys, remind me if I forget in 30 minutes, so at half past, we've got PPI data. I shouldn't forget, but let me give me a shout if I completely breeze past it. So let's firstly do a little recap on what happened with the dollar, and then we will sort of take it from there. Now, one thing I am also going to keep an eye on as well is euro. Quickly, just quick FYI, if the euro is going to potentially roll over from here. We did get a little signal on the M3. It's coming to the 50%. I'm going to be very cautious what euro does. So keep an eye on here in case it is going to want to start giving some sort of sell off. I am open before we get into the recap of this thing coming a little bit higher before going lower. But yeah. So anyway, let's go on to the dollar and let's sort of recap where we was on Tuesday. So on Tuesday's Zoom, we was pretty much sitting somewhere. Where are we? We was pretty much, well, it was around 1 p.m. UK time. So on Tuesday's Zoom, we mentioned that there wasn't really much we was going to do in terms of the dollar that day. it was obviously the only thing was potentially going to focus on was indices. Obviously, we did speak about the economics and that there was potential for indices to crash, but of course, we was obviously playing that continuation until the market cycle broke. Obviously, our narrative on the dollar remained bullish. We had this giant reaccumulation. And of course, from an economic standpoint, after that really strong labor NFP data on Friday, that was just more fuel to the fire for this to continue being bullish. Now, of course, we did have inflation data that came out yesterday, which I'll touch up on in a minute. But just basically where we was pretty much saying, we either come down to demand and accumulate, or we start setting up for the reaccumulation and play the reaccumulation. So I said, if we're going to play anything aggressive, right, like we mentioned, we have to wait for price to come down to our demand zone, right? Or start showing some strength and start boofing, and then we can play some market cycles up. A little bit later on, in the day, if we fast forward it, come on, we ended up creating this booth. Now, remember, what do all reaccumulations have in common, right? Remember, there's always three things. Well, technically four things. You're in an uptrend, clear uptrend. You then have a distribution. You then have a shakeout slash accumulation, and then you have that break to the upside. So as we can see here, we're pretty much setting up for a beautiful reaccumulation, especially once we boofed. So for me, I wanted to see if we could sort of come back to this manipulation I had fibbed up to see if we could play obviously a continuation on it. Now, again, I didn't want to be super aggressive here because it could have just did that and came down here because ultimately it technically needs to break this high to really confirm itself. And if you also look, we're at a very sensitive number, which, the whole number of 100. And obviously bigger institutions, they like these big psychological round numbers as well. So for me, what I wanted to see is if we are going to come down here, I wanted to see if we're going to start entering a bullish market cycle, start accumulating and start reaccumulating. And obviously, if you guys remember in the group yesterday, obviously on our Telegram chat, I sent in, look, guys, I'm looking for dollar buys if we can see that lower time frame reaccumulation. So when she ended up coming back down yesterday, obviously we was pretty much setting up for that daily cycle as well. Low of the week on the Tuesday, started sweeping out Frankfurt lows, or Asia lows rather. And then wait there. Wait for it. She then ends up coming back down to the 80%. So at this point, I wanted to see and zoom in and see if we're going to enter a bullish market cycle. So when we started coming into New York session, we know that New York gives continuations. We saw price give a small accumulation and it started setting up for the reaccumulation. Now, again, I wasn't going to play like a distro on Euro at this time or GU. I ended up getting filled on GU, but Euro and GU pretty much are the same sort of charts anyway. You can see here that EU starts to distribute, but again, there's just nothing that I can really trade off this. All right, it's pretty aggressive. And even if you look at GU as well, it was distributing, but for me, there was just nothing I was willing to play off that. And that was because our larger reaccumulation never fully confirmed itself on the M5, right? So for me, if I was going to say that, all right, this is going to be our spring, all right, of our reaccumulation to do that. If this is going to be that spring, I want to see the market go into a bullish market cycle and start actually showing me proof of buyers and that demand is actually in control. So as we sort of zoom in on a lower time frame, right? You can see we start setting up for a new reaccumulation, right? We had the distro, shake, and the break. And at this point, all right, I was game to now short euro and pound. Euro, the scanner ended up calling a short. I believe it was on, was it the 1 minute? I can't remember. Let's have a look. I know the scanner definitely called some shorts on these as well. But okay, we'll come back to the scanner in a minute. But regardless, you can see, EU built that redistribution. So for me at this point, this is now going to be my POI to now short from. And if we open up GU, same thing on, oh, why is my fib autistic? Right? We built out the redistro, fibbed it up, comes into the 50. I believe we did get a beautiful scanner core as well. at some point. Maybe it's just taking its time to load in replay mode. But yeah, that was it. She comes in, tags us in the 50. And then from there, obviously, when we zoom out on these and zoom out on the dollar, right? Obviously, our next logical target is going to be, these highs up here to confirm it. And obviously, when we look on euro, right, euro also had some beautiful liquidity. Remember, euro, dollar, pound, they all correlate. I really like that euro, I think on euro USD, right, it had some beautiful liquidity down here, right? Absolutely beautiful. So it was just a case of trying to see if we can pretty much run it down to these Asia lows. And as she started running down, I mean, that was pretty much all she wrote at that point. You can see if we just pretty much bring it back to current market, end up smashing those lows, and then she ended up going into a where is it? Yeah, beautiful 1 to 10. For me, that was just excuse me, a small. I took the trade on GU. The reason why I didn't take the one on EU is because it didn't actually fill me. Where is it? Because if you look right, like even come up to the 50, just missed the 50 just shyly. I mean, you could have played a scanner entry on now, though, so a few of you guys did. But for me, GU was the play. It was more of the lagger on that scenario yesterday. And then actually just gave one a minute ago. But to be fair, it was pretty simple. And like one thing I was observing yesterday was like the higher time frame candle close, and this is something that really starts to give you more confidence in your trades. So like when we was confirming this lower time frame reaccumulation down here, right? Don't just get caught up on like the 15 second. Zoom out and look at how the candles start closing. Because when we start to look on 30 minute, right? Look at these wick rejections. We're starting to see these pin bars, right? And when you start price comes into your demand, I mean, obviously this is not the end all be all. It can just fucking collapse, but it's a good sign to start seeing candlestick formations like this react off of your zone. And especially now when we can start seeing like the next candle, cloak wait there. This next, see how this next candle now confirm closes as a bullish engulfing, right? Can everyone see how this next candle now closes as a bullish engulfing? So remember, we come into our 80%, right? I'm not just gonna blindly look at the fucking candles. I'm gonna use confluence, right? On our 15 second time frame, what did we do? Well, 5 second, we accumulated and we reaccumulated. And that was obviously the basis of our narrative. But then seeing those 30 minute candles start to close up, and what did I tell you guys on Tuesday? On the 50 minutes, 30 minutes, hourlies, you always want to be looking at those candlestick closures. So when we had those candlestick closures like this was just those extra confirmations. And then at this point, we were sitting around like 3 p.m. UK time. I wanted to then see how the 4 hour was closing up. And you can see the 4 hour had a nice sort of wick rejection. And then from there, if we go back to the lower time frame, from there, that was pretty much all she wrote. And normally once you sort of get in a trade, during the York session for that continuation of the day, if you're day trading, you're pretty much good to hold it up to around like 8, 9 p.m. UK time because that's power hour. 8, 9, 10 p.m. UK time, that's power hour, which is normally a profit taking hour. So at those times, right, that's where if you're taking your day trades, you want to make sure that you're closing out and even if you're swing trading, you want to make sure that you've closed majority of your position and you're not just like holding it for the sake of it. Because again, if you look as we come into power hour, we do start to see the market reverse and start to walk its way back down. Now, obviously, if the entry was roughly somewhere down here, so if you were swinging it, yeah, you'd still be in the next day. But, it's always good to make sure you've paid yourself at those power hour times, especially if prices distribute them. So does that make sense on the dollar play slash euro GU play? I don't know if anyone's got any questions on that. Do you know when we're gonna do the meetup? Not confirmed yet, bro. We'll definitely do one. Probably it'll be around like the I think around like the 20th, around that time. But I need to 100% confirm all the flights and shit because I got my flights to the States, which I think is on like the 23rd or 20, after I can't remember, but I have to check it. Because I need to get to UK first. But yeah, how am I? I'm good, bro. Thank you. How are you? So can you clarify something for me? Should we not care about any demand or supply zones on EU? Do you wait for the schematic to build out on DXY and execute on EU regardless? Yeah, so you got I mean, you can use POIs on EU, right? But end of the day, it's the dollar that's really going to drive what EU does. So if I'm taking a trade on EU or GU, right, I care more about what the dollar's going to be doing. So like for example, let's say the short the scanner's just called earlier, which doesn't, really doesn't look too bad, right? Yes, EU's in the 50%, and it's obviously starting to distribute out of it. But if you're not seeing dollar show signs of accumulation at that time, you don't want to be trading it. And of course, where you can start to see that, what's the word? Dollar has room to come lower, it does decrease the probabilities of that euro playing out. I mean, it's still valid, you can still take it. We are technically still in demand on the DXY, it's just we're not in discount on here. So now what you can start doing for Confluence is, say you start zooming out on the DXY, start looking at how the candles are closing. You can see those lower time frame accumulations. But we're not trading Euro USD, we're not trading GBP USD, we're actually trading the DXY. It's like when people trade USD JPY and they're like, guys, I'm trading USD JPY, let's look at the dollar index. No, but Kieran, it's got the USD in it. Why am I not focusing on the dollar for USD JPY? Because USD JPY is not driven by the dollar. USD JPY is driven by the Japanese yen. And what happens economically and technically with JPY, that's going to affect USD JPY. For example, GU and EU, they have no, like these markets have zero relevance on what the European Central Bank does. They have zero relevance on what, like, these are not driven by the euro. This is driven predominantly by the dollar. So economically, technically, sentiment, everything that happens on the dollar is going to drive what EU does, if that makes sense. Uh, the entry? Yeah, yeah. So I played on GU, this redistro, and the feel was, oh no, come back. Feel was, yeah. I mean, again, like, I was market executing these. So, when I'm market executing, I'll trade futures. As soon as we starts coming near my zone, I'm just market executing. I'm not setting limits. I mean, you can set limits. Obviously, if you do, you have to adjust. If you're trading CFDs, you've got to adjust for spreads and all that. And then on Euro, it's pretty much the same thing, really. I know the scanner actually called a short back here, which technically is valid. That was it. Because it did mitigate this POI, but I still think at this point it's quite aggressive before we get the break because dollar obviously confirmed that reaccum. So yeah, this is pretty much what we played on Euro. I didn't get filled on Euro. GU is the one I played. So yeah, I think we also had some beauty. Yeah, you can see Euro's leading very nicely as well, and pound was lagging, so it's quite nice. And then that was all she wrote. Gave a nice little 1 to 10. And then yeah, that was pretty much it. Nice and simple. I mean, yeah, could you obviously, if you're swinging this, can you swing this down to these lows? Yeah, of course you can if you're holding overnight, but it depends on the type of trade you're doing. If you're day trading, you decide, you're in and out on the same day, you're not holding overnights. I don't have a confirmed date for the meetup yet. Once we do, I'll let you guys know. From SNG, what's that? So with the scanner trainings, like on the WAP, just go to the home on the home page. So I'll show you. Um, so where is it? Where are we? So when you go on the WAP, just go to the home page, right? Here, home chats, and just go through all of these trainings here for the bot. Go through all of these. Watch all of these because like a lot of people just get really like fixated with the settings on the bot, but like honestly, the settings on the bot really don't matter. because you're not taking every single trade the bot is going to be calling, right? You have to use logic with it. You want to be making sure, like, I'll show you how I set up, but basically, first thing you do is, one second, let me just close out on some of this trade on euro. Right there. One second. Take partials and make sure it's break even. So what you first thing you do with a bot, right, is don't worry too much about like don't over obsess about I got to get the perfect settings. Honestly, like completely take off the stat table and don't even worry about the stat table. I genuinely think we've actually cursed ourselves with the stat table. I might even delete it, but like I never use it. I don't care about the stat table because remember with the scanner, right, and with any sort of trading, scanner or manual trading, to take any trade, you have to answer the three laws of Wyckoff, right? So law one, the law of supply and demand. And I'm going to do a whole boot camp on all this stuff as well. I'm going to get this recorded. But the law of supply and demand, right? So that's when we start looking at our market cycles. So where are we? Let me pull up my old market cycle. Right. So next one. This one, right? Obviously, if demand's in control, you'll see accums and reaccums. If supply's in control, you'll see distros and redistros. And what we're doing with our plan, right, is we're identifying a schematic, waiting for the market to retest the schematic, and then with the scanner, now you're just setting alerts on different time frames for your lower time frame entry. The scanner basically is your entry confirmation. So you answer the law of supply and demand. So for example, right, let's say this trade here. All right. All right, cool. We see we're in a bear market, right? We're distributing, redistribution. We're looking to sell. So what I'll then do is I'll come down to my trade radar. I'll go settings. These are the settings I use. But the thing you're only going to really change because is if it's looking for buys or sells, right? And you're not going to take every signal the thing gives you. You're only going to take signals when it's in your POI and it's mitigating supply or demand. Like if it starts calling trades, for example, here, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. I'm only going to take it once she starts coming to my POI and my supply zones. You can have backtest mode on if you want to see all the old trades and the old signals, right? Like again, for example, here, it's calling a short here, it's calling a short here. We're not going to take any of those shorts because it's not in the 50 and 80, right? And it wasn't the right time of day. But yeah, like, I mean, it's up to you if you use prop mode or one trade only. I'd normally turn them off. But the first thing I do is just choose my bias if I'm selling. Obviously, you can choose the trading days you want the alerts to show off. I normally just turn off custom window because I only manually turn the alerts on when I'm doing my trading session, and I'm just going to ignore the ones out of my trading session. Again, targets and stuff you can use. I normally use TP1 as a 1 to 2, B as a 1 to 1.5, TP2 is a 1 to 5, and TP3 is a 1 to 10. But of course, use your take like trade management, how I taught you in the boot camp. So obviously, when she comes up here, your main target's that low. So I don't care about a fixed 1 to fucking 1 million. Once she hits this low, that's my target, and that's where I'm closing majority of my profits. So these are the ones I like to do. The settings for like, for example, the OBs and A entries, this one just affects your stop loss and how close it is to the higher the wick. So for me, like if it calls a trade, regardless of these settings here, so for example, if we play out, right, comes into my POI, it calls it, obviously called it like, where was it? It called the short here. Was it here? Like I'm gonna have alerts on multiple time frames. So if you want alert, because sometimes it will call it on that. In this case, it called it on the 3 minute, right? So if we go here, wait for it to load, you see it calls it on the 3 minute, right? But if I go on the 1 minute, I don't think it called it. No, it didn't. So what I'll do is when I've got my bias, so like even here now on Euro, what I'll do, this is like I'll look for another trade today, right? I've got my POI, come to alert, add alert, and I'll set the alert on the 1 minute. Then I'll go to the 2 minute or the 3 minute, add alert, and I'll set the alert on multiple time frames, like the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, and 5 minute, so that I'm not going to miss the signal, if that makes sense. And that's really all I do for the settings on it. Like You don't need to really tweak it. I'm probably going to delete that old video on the stat table. Again, I just turn it off. I don't use it. If you want to track multiple time frames on different assets, you can, but I just honestly I don't even use that. I just do it like this. If I want to set an alert on the 3 minute, come here, add alert, set it. Maybe set one on the 5 minute, come here, add alert. Come to the 15 minute, come here, add alert. That's pretty much all I do. And I only take the ones that come into my POI. Like if it starts calling one here, I'm not gonna fucking take it. I'm only going to take it once she's in my zone or in my POI. Like for example, this one, when it loads, and I think this is definitely a good one here because why? It's in your supply zone, so you can take it with your direction. Because obviously, if we bring it back to the laws of Wyckoff, remember, law of supply and demand, you do by looking at your market cycle. Cause and effect, right? You then look at did your sellers invalidate demand? In this case, you can see sellers invalidated buyers. And then the final one, which is the law of effort and result, which is the hot, and obviously this is for your entries, these are for your direction. That's where you would either, if you're manually trading, you apply your lower time frame validations, model one, model two, or model three. But for me now, like all I've really been doing is just waiting for the scanner to call me an entry. It makes life so much easier. My win rate is like it's gone so much higher. Like manually trading, I was sitting around like 60% win rate. Now I'm sitting around 80% win rate with the scanner. So yeah, for me it makes life super easy. But yeah. So that comes down to what your trading plan is now. You still have to define a plan. So for me, my trading plan with a bot is have a POI, wait for it to come up and call a signal when it mitigates. Once it calls a signal, I take the trade. That's it. Simple as that. That's all I do. Now, obviously, if you start seeing it come in and give you the change of character, the drives, and all that sort of stuff, then sure, you can still take them too. But for me, like that's literally all I've been doing. You know, Last week we didn't even have a single losing trade. Sorry, a single losing day last week. Obviously, there's a couple losing trades in there. You're not going to win every fucking trade, but for me, as long as I do that, and I notice all the guys and girls who've been using the scanner who get good results do the same thing. They have a POI, wait for it to come back, take the trade. So if you're using the scanner, that just replaces your lower time frame validation criteria, basically. PPI, we'll take a look at that. My guy. I like that Thomas, bro. You've been killing it, if I'm not mistaken. I hope this is the right Thomas. You waiting. I've been seeing you in the chat. You're on like a 90% win rate. But obviously this is the thing. I remember when you first got it. What did you do? When you first got it, it was shit, right? Because you were just taking every fucking signal that it calls. And I think that's where again some people just fuck up because they're taking every fucking signal that it calls. Like you don't do that. Build logic. Now, if you are going to take every trade it fucking calls blindly, then of course you're going to need to refine the stat table, find the right broker, find the right data feed, and take everything it calls blindly. But I ain't got time for that. I have not got time to sit and enter 1,000 trades a day. All I do to keep it simple is I build a bias. Like now I've got a POI. If it calls something on the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 3 minute, I'll take the trade. Easy as that. And like the whole point is just to remove, like, it's not to replace you because you also start to become the scanner. Like, there's so many times because obviously, once you've seen it play out so many times, you then like, I'll be looking at a trade. All right, cool. I know the scanner's about to print something, and then I get my notification, just because you've been doing it again and again. So, yeah. Oh, I missed one of your things. Can you go over the free drives manipulation compared to sometimes I see you guys? So yeah, so basically it's called volume absorption, bro. So like, and so okay, so everything comes down to context, right? Everything in life is all about context. And the question bro's asking is like, why sometimes does the market do that versus do this before rallying or dropping? The answer is firstly time and price. Because you got to ask yourself, right? Most of our trades are during New York session, the blue box. And the blue box is the most voluminous trading session there is because it has absolutely every session open apart from Asia. So during, like, for example, the blue box, you're not going to see the market spend loads of time consolidating and going sideways. Like if we go on, for example, NASDAQ, right? And we'll talk about the bias. I'm probably bearish on this today, but like let's say we go down to like the daily for to go down, go up to the daily. Like for example here, before it reverses, why do we not see the market consolidate and spend a shit ton of time? All right. Number one, it did come into it during New York session. We'll go down there in a minute. But number two is volume, right? And New York gives a lot of volume. When you start seeing those volume indicators spike and it shows you there's a shit ton of orders come in, they don't need to spend time consolidating. The only time they spend time consolidating is when they need orders to fill. So, if they've swept liquidity where there's a shit ton of orders resting, high volume comes in, and this is during New York session, they're not going to spend hours doing this. Like for example, in the DXY trade from yesterday, right? So where was we on the DXY trade down here, right? Like why does the market like okay here? Why does the market consolidate, right? Pre-New York session, all right? And obviously down here they needed to fill orders. We then boof. When the market returns, it comes in if the indicator wants to load. But this is in the middle of New York session. So we're not going to see price need to spend hours accumulating in the middle of New York session. So, I mean, obviously, if I see something like that, I'm not going to trade that. I can't validate that. But what I can then do is play the reaccumulation that comes after. Oh, the TikTok guys, yeah. I was Bitcoin playing the distribution. Potentially, bro. I mean, we're bearish on it. You can send me your chart if you want, and we'll take a look at it. Um, but I'm going to get into Bitcoin in a moment. So if you got a trade but there's no scanner, well, you still can. For me, the scanner just makes like how I use the scanner is to spend less time on the charts, to spend less time worrying about. I'll check the news. Yeah, we'll get onto that, right? I use it to spend less time on the charts and not need to worry about stressing about the markets because if I've got my bias, which is the easy part, I ain't got to worry about, validating, change a character. Is this valid? Is this not? I just don't really think, okay, comes in, scanner calls me a trade, I'm done. That's it. But to answer your question directly, it comes down to your personal plan. And if you want to decide if you want to take them only or also apply the validation criteria. For me, honestly, it's really good enough just to do it without the validation. And then let's say you see the validation on top of that, you can then refine it further, if that makes sense. So like let's say on this Euro trade, like okay, cool, the scanner called it on the 3 minute in here, right? Cool. Let's say you now see the redistro, you can play off that if you want. But obviously the scanner's calling trades when there's a shit ton of orders entering the market. So sometimes it might not always give you a re-entry. So even here, yeah, there you go. You literally could have played, that if you wanted to refine it. Could we look at upgrading the tracking table just to be on the time frame and not a specific pair? That way we can choose to track. Yeah, that's yeah, bro. That's where you go down here, right? You go to the tracking table and you add the market you want on the time frame. So this one here, you can choose the market. Yeah, you can if you enable it, you can choose the market. But honestly, like, don't like, I really think I might just delete the stat table because I think a lot of people are overestimating the importance of it. Like, the stat table doesn't fucking matter. I could not care less about the stat table. I can put the stat table on right now on the 3 minute when I took this trade from. I don't care. I'm sitting at 80% win rate this month. What's the stat table going to tell me? Fuck the stat table. I'm not taking every trade it's going to call. So I honestly think I might delete it. But like, yeah, don't even worry about the stat table. What I mean? It's calling a 40% win rate, but I can invalidate half the trades it's calling anyway. But I don't care about that. I don't care about the stat table because again, like, look, for example, here it's calling a trade during Asia. Here it's calling a trend in a trade in an uptrend and not even in the supply zone. You know, so what I'm saying? It can't filter those things out. That's where you come in. I mean, eventually we'll get it on those ones, but this is hard enough to build as it is. If no signal is cool, but we have other confluences. I mean, yeah. If you well, again, it just comes to your trading plan. You know, if your plan presents itself, you take the trade and don't think anything else. So you that's where now you got to define what your plan is, right? For me, simple. POI, come in, signal, take it on any like not any time frame, but like the relevant one, like a minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes, something like that. Yeah, we'll get into PPI. Yeah, we'll get into the PPI stuff. What actually happened with it? We've still got to talk about CPI. Would you take a trade in your POI after scanner? Yeah, of course, bro. All the time. I don't need like the purpose of the scanner, brother, is so you don't need to validate your trades. The scanner validates your trades. Does that make sense? So, like for example, this 3 minute trade I took just before the call, right? Like the scanner calls it where our replay mode is glitchy as fuck. And trading views also being slow today. We'll get there when it loads. All right, cool. So you see here it called it here. Wait for it. Okay, one sec. It's just being super slow. I think TradingView have some good servers. There we go. Right. So you see here, right, it calls a short. Right. In terms of now my manual trading plan, can I validate that? Fuck no. But I don't care. I don't need to because the scanner is telling me what effort is coming into the market. It's answering that third law. So remember the three laws of Wyckoff: supply and demand, cause and effect, effort and result. Your direction is done by supply and demand. Your probability is done by cause and effect, and your entry is done by effort and result. You you normally when we're trading, we see effort coming in, we're seeing the distro, the redistro for the entries, and that's where we validate it manually. But the point is, the scanner takes care of that law for you, so you don't need to think about it, if that makes sense. A POI scanner is a termination of John Connor. Yes, sir. When you first got it, you got lucky taking most of the signals. Now, yeah, bro, that's it. You just gotta be patient. Like the scanner is not gonna be your saving grace. There's no such thing in trading that's got the silver bullet. Like there's no one thing you're just gonna come across and it's gonna make you a fucking millionaire. Like if you're using the scanner and you're thinking that, oh my God, I'm gonna take the scanner and I'm gonna be a millionaire next week, you're fucking spastic. I'm sorry, right? The scanner ain't gonna do shit for you if you're a degenerate gambler, you can't control your emotions, and you can't build a market direction. Like I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of it. Now, if you couldn't be patient, it's not even be patient. You don't have to be patient. You just wait for the market to come to your zone. Like I think a lot of people focus on the wrong shit. Like, right, I don't like, oh, I need to be more disciplined, I need to be more patient. No, you just got to have a clear set of rules and make it simple for yourself. Right? If you were undisciplined, you would have picked another career like e-commerce after a week of losing. All right. If you were impatient, you wouldn't be waiting a year, 2 years still trying to learn the skill. Right. So you just need a better system. And that's why I've created this scanner because it is the simplest trading plan, in my opinion, in the world. All you do, literally, POI comes up, wait for the thing to call it. Like that's it. Like this trade here. Like it doesn't get any simpler than that. Have a registro, you know, wait for the scanner to call it, done. So there's no case of being patient. You just build your direction, set your alerts on. Okay, the scanner gives you a signal. Is it in my zone? No, ignore it. Yes, take it. That's it. It's really that simple. Yeah, we've got to look at PPI and stuff. Would you say it's important to use volume when trading? Yeah, bro. Volume is the most important confirmation you can have. Like there is nothing more because like volume cannot be subjective. Volume is the raw data coming from like what is volume? It's showing you interest, activity, orders being filled. You can't fake that, So it's showing you if a move is strong or not. But obviously volume is always more accurate on CFDs. Can you answer my question when you go through the break-even trade? What was your question, bro? Yeah, I mean, most of the time, even if you do see like the validation criteria play out, the scanner will spit something on them. Is there a way to turn off? Yeah, bro. You just come into the settings and literally just uncheck TPs and set the alert again. If it calls on the M1, you can go super low. Yeah, you can. But remember, the more you try to refine it, the lower your win rate's going to be. You know, like my trades I've been getting are like 1 to 5s, 1 to 8s, 1 to 10s with the scanner. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you can still catch, those big boy 1 to 40s or 1 to 50 risk rewards, of course you can. But, your win rate is, with that, you're not getting a fucking 80% win rate with a 1 to 40 risk reward. You know what I mean? Um, I mean, it was based on only time frames and you're switching pairs, it would track. I'm on gold chart. I would need to. I mean, if you want, bro, you can ping me a message later, and I can speak to the developer. Never go full retard. All right, boys, we're gonna have to get into the outlook. Oh, I mean, we're gonna be here for a minute. I haven't got a delay on it, but if you've got any more questions, let's kind of hold them back. We'll get through the economics, and then we can sort of start asking them again once we've gone through the charts. Um, Otherwise, we're gonna be here for hours. I don't mind, but I'm just thinking for you guys. Do you mix it up? Like sometimes go model 1, 3. No, bro. Like I just, I have my trading plan, right? And once the rules show up, I take the trade without thinking. Like that's kind of it, you know? Do you leave both signals? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. And the best broker to use is either Oanda, like the scanner was designed on Oanda, the Oanda data feed. Is it better? Is it not better to switch off TPs if we use our brains? Yeah, yeah. If you use your brains and do it that way, you can. From like myself and the developer, we found that the like for the hard settings for TP1, break even, and TP2, that's normally the best hitting ones. I like having the notification on because it's just a reminder to take partials. I realize why I've been missing EU trades that you've been catching. You had your alerts on futures and you had it on Amanda. Yeah. Yeah, so Aranda is what it was built on. Also, what point do you decide that it's a valid to drop down to the 15 seconds? The NQ. So I mean, I don't really sit on the 15 second. Like, if I'm going to be on the 15 seconds, so like if we go to the Nasdaq one from where was we? The break-even trade we played on where was it? And here, like I'm waiting for the scanner. I don't need the where is it? I don't really need to be on the 15 second because where did it call it? Let's put the buy. It called it somewhere here, wasn't it? Trading view's been a bit slow today. Yeah, so I don't need like because remember what it's mainly doing it off is just a single candle closure when the effort's coming in. So being on the 15 second, like I would have to be, for example, coming and mitigating like a 15 second accumulation, and then I'm playing that 15 second signal in here. You know, this POI is too big. And again, like if you go even down to the 15 second, all right, well now you're in a fucking downtrend. You know what I mean? The market's in a clear downtrend. So I'm not gonna take any of that shit. You know. If the validation criteria is good and the scanner doesn't call it, can we take it? That comes down to you, bro. If your plan is that you're taking manual trades, I would say separate the accounts, right? Like I have separate accounts, my manual trading and my bot trading. Since I've been using the scanner, I think I've taken one or maybe two manual trades in the last like 2 months since we've been using the scanner. And I think with the bot, I've probably taken at least a trade a day, pretty much. I mean, not every day is a trade, but at least one, two trades a day, three trades a day with an 80% win rate. So it's pretty good. So I would say definitely separate the accounts because if you're doing scanner trades and manual trading in the same account, you've got two different trading plans. Right. So let's take a look at what's going on with some of these markets then. So I feel like Euro might give something in a moment. I'm gonna be very, I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see what we're doing down here. We are starting to build something. See what GU's doing. Turn of view being super slow. Let's see what we get in here. What's the dollar doing? Dollar can still come lower. It did just crack that high. So it still can come lower. So it still can come down to here or potentially react out of here. We could really get something soon on Euro. Keep an eye on this. Little engulfing. All right, let's take a look at what happened with the news. So obviously, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to the news. So obviously on Wednesday we had CPI come out. Now, in terms of my notes on this, let's sort of get into it. So we did start to see in the report that inflation is starting to come out a little bit higher, right? And prices are definitely start to rise in. And I think that's why we saw that massive correction on Nasdaq, and why we're seeing continued strength on the DXY and more weakness on Euro, Pound, and continued risk assets. Now, the only problem is that the biggest reason that inflation went higher was because of energy costs and fuel costs. Now, this isn't like 2021 where we had all prices start to rise, and then that's why we had a crazy like official bear market. We was set on complete shorts every day on those risk assets on EU, GU indices. Now, prices are starting to heat up a little bit, all right? Now, in terms of what's happened with PPI, I haven't even had time to look at this. Let's have a look at what goes on. Let me use my hold AI. Let's have a look. So obviously the difference between CPI is what consumers are paying and PPI is what producers are ultimately paying. Give me a sec. Let me sort of go through some of this data. So headlines come out higher. Month over months come out higher. Everything's pretty much higher, but it's still, I mean, inflation is starting to definitely rise. Mainly driven by oil still, but this is also important because we next week we've got the new chairman having his first speech, right? Kevin. Now, for me, the biggest thing is I want to see if the Fed's going to dismiss this as an energy shock. Because remember, last time we had that sell-off, the Fed sort of dismissed it as an energy shock, and that was why we just had like a small correction on indices before that continued rally, right? Like pretty much back here. It was like, all right, inflation's coming higher, but it was just an energy shock, and that's why we continued higher. Now, if we keep seeing that sustained price and the Feds in their meeting next week are going to say, all right, no, we're concerned about inflation because the biggest difference between with this chairman and the old chairman is this guy is concerned about inflation more, right? Powell had his fucking head in his ass, in my opinion, but this guy seems a little bit more concerned about inflation. So I don't think they're going to be cutting rates anytime soon. I think it's going to be higher rates for longer and potential rate hikes coming in the future. But I can't necessarily predict this. I need to see what the market is going to really react to and ultimately what Kevin says. Remember, as a trader, it's not your job to predict, it's simply your job to respond to the data that's coming out and building those if slash then scenarios around that. So basically, for me, we are seeing inflation rise. Under the board, it's mainly just because of energy still. But the biggest sort of thing we need to really see is if this trend sustains. And we also now compare this with market cycles. You don't just blindly, follow economics. You don't just blindly follow technicals. You put them both in alignment. So if your economics are now, for me, are more bullish on the dollar, right? I'm still going to be more bullish on the dollar. There's a chance we could have, well, probably crack this high first. So if we look at the dollar first, and why is this bullish on the dollar? Because for me, seeing these inflation prices start to rise, there's no necessary reason that the Fed are going to want to cut rates. And if rates are going to be higher for longer, more money is basically going to go into the bonds, which goes into the dollar. And we can see that the dollar has been starting to accumulate, all right, for a while now in this bullish leg. We came down, we accumulated, and we've been pretty much following up a bullish market cycle until we hit like 10. What price point is that? Uh, this price point is 10, let's say 100, 600. Keep it simple. I think that's a solid target. So now the question is, right, as we follow this market cycle up, is are we gonna have a pullback down into here to continue higher? Or are we going to start to play continuations out of this smaller reaccumulation? Now, again, you can never know with 100% certainty. That's not your job as a trader, right? Your job is just to create if-then scenarios, and if something happens, then you do that. It's as simple as that. You don't overthink it, right? Don't be doing too much. Just if this happens, then you do that. So if the market now comes down into here and shows me signs of accumulation, the scanner starts calling trades, I'm going to take it to swing it up. Simple as that. If it doesn't and just falls through, I don't really care. I didn't take a trade. It's not that deep. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye in here. I'm going to check seasonalities as well. I want to see what seasonal moves the dollar tend to do around this time of year. Let's see. Where are we? We are in June, July. So, okay, potentially some shorts going in. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Now, this is the thing with seasonalities. What is this? This just shows you the average of what the dollar tends to do during different months. Now, with this, remember, it's not always 100% because this is just what it's done. Like for me, if I'm using this, I want it to be in alignment with the economics, which it's not necessarily. So I don't really care too much about that in that sense. Unless there's like an economic reason to, I'm not just going to blindly follow what the average was, you know? So in terms of the dollar, yeah, we're still pretty much bullish from here. I do want to see if we can come down into here and show some effort in the market. And if it does, we'll look to buy it. It's simple as that. Or of course, if he wants to come a little bit lower, we'll definitely play out of those lower zones as well. So pretty simple on the dollar, to be honest. So now we're going to ping an alert in here. When we open up like euro, all right, where are we? So let's see. So these lows on Tuesday. Tuesday's high. Let's clear some of this up a little bit. So, but still potentially playing the redistro. We do have some divergence actually. So dollar has broke this.
but euro hasn't. So I'm still open to still trying short euro down. But this is where now you have to understand what drives it. Like it's the dollar that's going to drive euro. So I don't really care too much about what the POI looks like on euro because I've got one on the dollar. So we'll see what the dollar looks like. We've got to train lean hogs. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is lean hogs? Oh my God, is that a market? What the fuck is this? I have no idea what that is. Like pigs? Like pigs or some shit? Yeah. So I'm not really going to be looking to. Let's see. I'm not really going to be too bothered about what the GU charts and EU charts look like. It's more so what the Euro chart looks like. I mean, GU is kind of still in this zone. It is starting to distribute on a lower time frame in here. But the only thing is, I don't like what the dollar's doing. You know, when we look at what the dollar's doing, we sit pretty much. What are we doing in here? We're building these equal lows. So I feel like we'll probably get a bigger shakeout. So I'm not necessarily 100% convinced on trying to short euro just this second or on pound just this second. I'm still bearish on pound and euro today. But I just need dollar to play ball, man. So maybe we get the New York Open. Pound sort of comes up into here. We get a distro, then play it lower. But with the dollar, I thought, yeah, the dollar looks like it's definitely in a distro at this point. Just crack the high, probably give a deeper pullback to come lower. Yeah, I don't want to be buying out of here. Let's see if it comes in here. So, anyone got any questions on GU, EU, and the dollar? The main chart to look at is dollar. And we've also got the psychological number of 100, so it makes sense for the market to want to come back and retest that 100 level as well. Cool, pretty simple. All right. So we'll keep an eye on these. We'll come back to them, man. We'll see if we can get any other trades. Indices, there's really no point looking at it. Yeah, it's still super early. For trading GU, EU, futures and Alanda. The scanner was created on Alanda. Trump's tweets. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about Trump's tweets, to be honest with you, because it's not going to set market direction, you know? It's just going to catalyze the market in the direction it's already designed to go. NQ, okay, NQ's come up into supply. ES coming into supply. And then YM. So YM looks like it's leading to the downside, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like NQ is lagging the most because NQ hasn't cracked those lows. So NQ will probably give more of a manip to the upside during the open. So we can try and follow it down on NAS. Bro, why is none of my session things loading? We got yesterday's New York session coming in. So in the open is going to happen in about 30 minutes. Um, we're starting to this thing is like you can't analyze this chart yet. The market's not open, you know. So I'm not gonna sit here and bother about picking an entry zone or anything because at the open you always get manipulation, you know. So I'm bearish, so I'd want the open to give me some sort of sweep to the upside before rolling to the downside. I'm bearish on these, so maybe I play a redistro during the blue box or a sweep up and a distro down. But I'm going to come back to these at the open in like half hour because there's not too much to really do with them this second. Oh no, Trump's tweets. You know, I'm not too bothered about them. Can we not trade? I mean, yeah, bro. I mean, we. I don't know if I wasn't clear, but we've been saying this whole time we want to sell GU, and EU. We just need it to come, we just need the dollar to do something nice. All right. So dollar needs to come down to a demand zone. It's not in demand yet. Because if where dollar's going to go up from, that's where EU and GU will go down from. So, we're in a distribution on the dollar right now. So I'm not going to be trying to buy sell GU now because these things are going to be probably accumulating to come a bit higher. I mean, can it react from here? It can. It's not, for me, it's not worth it yet. So I'm going to keep my eye on the dollar, bro. Yeah, keep an eye. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, yeah, I still think we're potentially bearish on these, but just keep majority of your analysis done on the DXY, bro. And that's what gets you your clarification on what you want to do with EU and GU. You miss your blue lines. I'm glad you don't have any blue lines, bro. Oh shit, I'm glad we got rid of them. Gold and silver. Let's have a look. Holy. You guys remember when I was telling you back here? I was like, guys, be careful with gold, man. The people are lining up outside the stores. I was like, be careful. People are lining up. This thing's gonna correct soon. And we are getting that correction. When people are lining up outside of a store, it's not the time to buy. And there's still not the time to buy yet because there's not enough pain. You need pain. People need to bleed. All right, what are we doing with these? They're just selling off. They're still in a bearish market cycle. I'm cautious this could be an accum. I'm very cautious, but we are technically bearish from here. We do have a frank fizzle sweep. We did booth. Maybe we can get something in here on silver if Goldilocks is showing weakness, and it's not. If gold starts selling off, then we could start playing something on silver, but there's no weakness yet. I'll definitely ping some scanner alerts on silver though. Yeah, I'll definitely ping some alerts on silver. The shorts. We might get one in a minute actually. What's Goldilocks doing? Let me open up gold on another chart. Not enough weakness on gold yet. Come back to these and keep an eye. Economic bearish. Yeah, I'm bearish, man. I'm pretty much bearish on most risk assets at this point, unless positive earnings want to rally up indices. What you mean line up? I forget what I was saying now, bro. Can you give me more context? How accurate are measured moves for predicting the next leg, retracements and continuations? All of them. It works on all of them, bro. But everything comes down to confluence. Like you can't just look at measured moves and only expect to use them. Like I used to use like fib extensions. So like let's say I'm trying to build confluence and like, okay, I got this. Let's say I want to build a target, all right? Okay, from potentially here to there. Cool. I'm also going to use like measured trend fib extensions. Now build confluence. Sometimes now in this case, I feel like this is a good confluence because you got the 127 and you got the measured move. Then I can go and look left, right? What is to the left? Is there any demand there? So in this case, we're actually, look, there's a low here that can be swept. So I'd rather target this low as my TP in this case than the measured move in that case. Gold looks like it's starting to slowly distribute, but yeah, gold lining up. So got silver and gold correlate. So if you're going to be taking a trade, right, on correlating assets, one will be doing something like this, and one will be doing something like that. You want a leader to show you weakness, and that weakness from this one will drag this one down. Um, gold leader, let's have a look. Let's confirm it. So if we're gonna go based off our POI, silver is here. And then we go look at gold. What is this on the 5 minute? This is on 11th of June. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Wait, let's double check. Let's now compare them so we can know exactly who's lagging and leading. Mm, 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 mm. So silver traveled 18, this traveled 20. So I would say Goldilocks is actually leading on, depends what time frame. Higher time frame, gold selling off more. So there's always like sometimes you can have a lower time frame leader, sometimes you can have a higher time frame leader. In this case, gold is leading on the higher time frame, silver's leading on the lower time frame. Gold leading on the higher time frame. So gold, see how gold has sold off way more compared to silver hasn't sold off as much. Now on the lower time frame, you could definitely argue that silver is leading, but I think I'd rather go off the higher time frame momentum. Let me just guess. There's this call and alert on the 5 minute on the futures. What's dollar doing? Yeah, I don't trust dollar with its double bottom. On Bitcoin, when it would be a good time to play counters? When your counter trend model presents itself. Like, don't even, yeah, simple as that, bro. Do you know what the counter trend model is? You know what the counter trend model is? So the counter trend model, you need to be, so let's say you have a massive sell-off, right? You need to be in discount, right? I need to be in the rebalancing mode. The market then needs to boof, have a redistro, a cum, boof, and a reaccum. I'm not near any of this. But even then, like, I don't know why you want to counter trend so much. And even then, I'm only going to do it if there's like a big, 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 big move that's going to take months to play out and there's thousands of pips. I'm not just going to do it on like a 1 minute time frame. And again, remember, like the trend's your friend. Don't fight against the trend. Like Like, for the last 6 months, how many times have the buyers just been absolutely fucking raped? You know? I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's times where you can do it, but it's just better just for peace of mind, in my opinion, it's always better just to stick to the pro trend. Right, we really might get something on silver. I want to really keep an eye on what silver's doing and gold. Let's see. Silver's trying to show off. Gold is starting to distribute on the lower time frame. If this gives a pullback, we might be able to play something. Switch these around. So on the lower time frame, silver's leading, gold lagging. So it might be better to try and play a small scalp on gold. What made price drop on June 3rd? For what, bro? I mean, it can, but like, I don't know why you want to fight the momentum on this, bro. I don't know why you're committed to trying to trying to buy this. Like, wouldn't you rather just wait for to try and play the sell? If that's what you meant, but you're drawing, yeah, I agree. Yeah, that makes sense. But like, there's no point trying to buy it up, and you can't because you're already in. Like, for example, here, this is your supply zone, right? You could have played those counter trends in here because you're not in the supply zone, right? You didn't come near it. But obviously, here you're in the supply zone. So close to NYSC. Give me 1 second, guys. Definitely keep an eye on these though. I don't trust the dollar. I really don't trust it. And the dollar can influence what gold and silver's doing. Not correlated, but it can influence it. It can influence it. Anyone else look at any other markets? Because at this point, I'm kind of just waiting for the NYSC open in like 10 minutes. USD ITR? Bro, it's trending like a fucking meme coin. There's nothing slowing this down, mate. Fucking hell. Yeah, this thing ain't slowing down, mate, anytime soon. What the fuck happened in there, bruv? That would have been generational wealth, bruv. I think this means it's getting more. Yeah, this thing. I mean, probably due a correction soon. But this is not slowing down. Why do you think gold on the M5? Because it's trying to distribute on the lower time frame. It's trying to distribute on the lower time frame. I'm just not really convinced with silver yet, though. Putting some alerts on the old scanner, and we'll see what we get. Not looking bad though. Looking kind of heavy. Let's see how this 10-minute closes up. Let me catch the top with no SL. You know the vibes. Um, mm, bro, like the market's not even open yet, man. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing I'd be trying to set limits off on this. You know, because if you're just gonna set a blind limit here, like what are you setting it off? You know, like where's your distro or your redistro or your scanner signal? You know, there's nothing to set off yet, bro. Yeah, you need it to, if you're going to take the trade, you need to have something building the blue box. I mean, there's nothing here. You just broke order flow pre NYSC. I don't trust it. I mean, look what happens at NYSC. You know, there's always a big manipulation. So for me, like on indices, I don't really hold my analysis to what's the word? I don't really care too much about my analysis until the open happens. I mean, yeah, like we can build a bias and stuff, but you always get manipulations at the open. So I want to see that manipulation come in because normally the market will go one way before the other. Like for example, yesterday we shot up, manipulated highs before continuing lower. So maybe we get something like that at the open. Or, within the blue box, play some cameras gone. It's back. Um, yeah. Or I'd want to play like some redistros during the blue box on like the lower time frame. So like maybe the open does that, breaks down, then that's your redistro to try and play lower. But it's too early, the open's not even happened. And with all that volume coming in, like, setting a limit where you said, bro, is very aggressive, very risky. It's just unnecessary risk. And there's no basis on this trade. Like, let me ask you this. What is our trading plan? You have a POI and you wait for a scanner to call a trade, or play your free drives, your manips, your change of character, all that, right? Or a redistro. Where do you see any of that on this chart, brother? You don't. You just have a POI. Well, yeah, I'll give you the POI, but you just have a booth. That hasn't done much. Let me know if that makes sense, bro. Yeah. So don't trade what you want to see, bro. Always trade what you can validate. Just always think like repeatable process, repeatable process, repeatable process. Like every trade is the same thing. What bad moments in your trading journey that made you just patient to wait? Um, like just losing a lot, bro. To be honest with you, mate. Like that's it. Just fucking losing a lot, blowing many accounts and just failing for years. And like it's not even being patient, bro. It's just you're just waiting for a signal. If you're at a traffic light, right? You don't, well, depends in the country you're in, but if you're in like a country where traffic law is enforced, like you're not being patient, you're not being disciplined. You're just waiting for a signal. And I think a lot of people they put too much pressure on being disciplined and being patient. Like you need to be patient. You just not like are you paid like for example, when you've got mail come in, like a package, right? Are you patient waiting for your package? No, the package is gonna come. But yeah, bro, I mean exactly what Harry said, you gotta get sick of your own bullshit. We only ch learn and change through two ways, inspiration or desperation, right? I mean, I can, say some inspiring stuff or teach you some shit, and that's one way you can learn it, right? Or you learn through first-hand experience where you just fucking blow so many accounts. Like, how many challenges have you got to fail to realize you need a mentor? How many, how much money do you have to lose before you realize you need to build a track record? You know? So sometimes, bro, like you just got to hit your head against the wall, um, until you realize it hurts. You know what I mean, bro? For me, yeah, it was just blowing a shit ton of accounts, bro. And like it comes down to I think a few things. One, I think also if you have pressure on yourself as well, which is important. Like a lot of the time, what's going on with Euro? Why is it calling it bullish? No, go away. Right? Like if you have too much pressure on yourself, it's like I tell people, you shouldn't be quitting your job to trade if you're not a full-time trader. Like, and you have obviously you're a full-time trader, but if you haven't got experience, like a lot of people, they put too much pressure on themselves. They're trying to trade to hit financial goals. Like the only goal of trading is just to follow your plan and manage risk, and that's how you make money. But like a lot of people are just so obsessed with like making money, because the problem is like the success mindset that gets you success in any other industry is completely opposite to the success mindset that gets you success in trading. Because if you think about it, the success mindset in trading is what, right? I hate the word patient, but it's, don't really do much, sort of sit on your hands, wait, let the market come to you. In like traditional business, you got to go out there, you got to hustle, you got to grind, you got to go get it, you got to do more. But in the markets, the more you do, the less you get because the more trades you normally lose, more commissions and more spreads you end up paying. So it's one of those things, bro. Like for me, yeah, it was just losing a shit ton of trades, bro. Just failing again and again. Like literally experiencing the same problem again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and just to the point where it just got so fucking frustrating, bro. Like, and that took years to have those realizations, And a lot of time you realize, well, when my mentor's telling me to do certain things, if I was just coachable and I actually did the things they told me, I wouldn't be in that troubled situation. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They're just not coachable and they're not teachable. Like they might be teachable where they're willing to learn, but they're not willing to change. They're not willing to do new things. Like, for example, your mentor says, start diarying whilst you're trading. Write out your thought process. Watch this video. Do this homework and get back to me. Then you don't do it. Then you're wondering why you're not making any progress because you're not willing to change. It's like how many people know, like, for example, right? You guys know I've been on like a weight loss journey this year, right? And I'm down now to 77 kilograms. Let's go, right? I was 91 kilograms in January. Now, it like for the lot of months before that that led up to that point, like December, October, blah blah blah, where I was getting fatter from eating too much.
it got to the point where like you don't really notice it sometimes until maybe someone else points it out for you. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes something external's got to point it out. So also having conversations with my mentor, them calling me out my own bullshit helped. And just sometimes getting sick of it because like, let's say for example, like the weight loss journey, you get to a point where you're like, all right, I'm looking in my mirror, I ain't got a six pack, I ain't got an abs, like, all right, I got to do something about this. And you can look at yourself every day, but it only gets to that point where you hit that threshold, you're like, fuck, I got to do something about it now, you know? And I think it's the same thing with trading. Sometimes you just got to really hit your head on the wall enough. Or you could just be simple, bro, and just actually be coachable and listen to what your mentor and your coach is telling you. And a lot of the time, you will learn. Paying money not to listen, bro. A lot of people, bro, you'd be surprised, bro, because like it's not because people are consciously choosing not to listen. It's because people we're creatures of habits, right? They're stuck in their own habits, and that's probably the biggest thing there is those habits. So like when we talk about habits, why do people, for example, know that smoking's bad but can't give up? Because they're locked into that habit. They've been doing something again and again and again. It's like I'm pretty sure most people here are right-handed. I hope, unless you're that left-handed guy. But if you're left-handed, or sorry, right-handed, and you try to brush your teeth with your left hand, how weird is it? It's kind of weird, right? Or you're driving and you're using your right foot to brake and accelerate, and you try to use your left foot to brake. You're gonna fuck yourself up, you know? You're just not used to it, and you're in that habit. So it's like when you wake up, what do? You have the same morning routine. You probably eat food in the same seat on your table. You probably put on your left sock first or your whatever sock. You brush your teeth with the right hand. You do the same things every single day because we're creatures of habit. So a lot of the time, people are just stuck on autopilot, bro. They're just stuck in that cycle. Um, so the point is, it can be really hard to break those habits. If I'm being real with you, especially if you've been doing something for years, you can't, it's not easy to break it overnight. And to create a new habit, it comes two ways, right? Intense emotional experiences or repetition. So that intense emotional experience of blowing a shit ton of accounts, losing so many trades, that was an intense emotional experience to make me realize like, fuck, like I'm upset now, you know? And repetition of losing the same mistake, journaling again and again and again. Because it's like, every time you journal your trade and you keep seeing, okay, it's not in a POI, it's not in a POI, it's not in a POI, it's not in a POI. You know, eventually you got to realize it's not in a fucking POI. And that is the measure of intelligence. And unfortunately I was dumb, right? Because intelligence is not how quickly you can read a fucking book or if you can remember a book. Intelligence is the same circumstance and if you can now change your behavior, if that makes sense. So like let's say, you're doing something, right, every day. And like let's say, for example, you're trading during Asia session every day, right? And you keep losing, right? Intelligence is being able to same behavior, same circumstance, but now I change my action accordingly to get the result I want. It's like, if you've been eating a burger every day and you're getting fat, you're dumb if you don't think the fucking burger or change the burger, if that makes sense. And it's how quickly you can adapt to that. So sometimes it's hard to quickly adapt to things because we're not looking for it. Sometimes we're biased, right? A lot of the time people have these biases where, and even me, bro, everyone has biases. I'm not perfect, but like we have biases where it's harder to look at ourselves. Like I think the Bible says it best. It's like you can, what's the quote? It's along the lines of, don't judge the splinter in your brother's eye when you've got a plank of wood in your own eye. And it's so easy to look at what other people are doing wrong versus seeing what yourself's doing wrong. It's like your nose, right? None of you are paying attention to your nose until now you look at your nose and fuck me, my nose was there the whole time. Or you're breathing, you know we're not always consciously breathing until we're reminded about breathing. So I would say yeah, bro, like sometimes you just gotta eat shit a lot you know um
or you can listen to your mentors and be coachable. But that's why repetition's so important. Like that's why, I always tell people, when you go through the material, when you go through our boot camps, don't fucking watch it once. Watch it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. But that's the thing, some people don't have the discipline to do that. And like the crazy thing is, that's really what makes you successful. It's doing the boring things repetitively without chasing the new shiny thing, you know? Um, uh, have I fucked up here? I wouldn't say so. No. I mean, if you could do that, if you wanted, bro, I'd also be careful that you could be getting a bigger sweep. But remember, focus on what the dollar's doing, brother. If I'm going to take any trades on euro or pound, I need to know exactly what the DXY is doing. And dollar's in a big distro. I mean, well, it could be a reaccum, but I don't like those equal lows. Did you know left-handed people used to get beaten because it was believed that they were the spawns of Satan? God damn. First, take the speck out of your eyes to see clearly, then take the speck out of your brother's eyes. That's so true, man. Moral of the story, get tired of your own shit, listen to your mentor and be coachable. 100%. But bro, like, it's not that a lot of the time, bro, it's really not that we need to be taught. It's that we just need to be reminded. Like, that's really what it comes down to, bro. And like that, and it's not that people are dumb, right? They need to be reminded. It's just human nature. Like, think how much your brain has to like take in around you. It has to take in so many things. Also, I'm gonna keep an eye on gold. Like it is starting to react from this area. If we can get a little signal going on. But the point is, what was I gonna say? What was you saying? Yeah, like we've got to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And it's not that we're necessarily dumb or it's not that we're necessarily stupid or anything like that. It's just you need to generally be reminded. Repetition is the mother and father of all learning. Now, repetition is the mother, consistency is the father, right? And a lot of the time in life, you just have to do it again, repetition. Because when you're repeating things, you're building more neural pathways. Like and you're literally developing brain cells. Like, for example, the first time you've gone through the course, let's just say, you're like, huh? What the fuck's a mitigation? Bro, what's a spring? What's a UTAD? Because you like don't have the brain cells. And that's not me being like trying to insult you. It's just you have not developed the brain cells to do that yet. So through learning, you literally grow new brain cells. You develop new neural pathways. That's why when you have those aha moments, it's because new pathways are literally being formed in your brain. So a lot of the time, it's not that you're dumb. You just have to keep reinforcing those pathways. That's really what it comes down to, man. He's left-handed. Of course, Nathan's left-handed. Of course. Um, but yeah, man, we just had the open. Let's see what indices are doing. What are we doing on these? I'm pinging a lot on these lows in case we want to get that redistro. Mm. Don't see any weakness on silver yet. Mm. Yeah, starting to give a little sell off. Maybe a little sell off on YM. But I'd wanna. If ES and YM can show aggressive sellers today, I'll play some sort of redistro down on NQ. I'm definitely pinging alert on these lows. And yeah, and like a lot of the time, you don't like I wouldn't even say it's learning to be patient. It's just learning the behaviors that produce results. You know? It's like when I used to smoke weed all day and order loads of food, I'd get really fat.
All right. So, oh, why am I fat? Let me look at the behaviors that led to that. Okay, why am I losing trades? Let me study the behaviors that lead to that. You know, why? When am I winning trades? What's causing me to win different trades? What behaviors are leading to that? It's just like pattern recognition, really, bro. Mm. Not much going on. Yeah, I'm gonna ping some alerts down here on ES. I mean, they still could play out of London's price action and distribute up there. So it's basically on these. Let's see if we can play something like that or play the redistro down. But I want ES to lead and try and short NQ down. Oh, Goldilocks is dropping. Dollar Doom. Dollar is apparently wanting to not distribute. Apparently. Oh, candle closed in there. Maybe that's why. ES cracked the lows. Hello. Righty ho. All right, ES is starting to show some weakness. Very nice. So if ES can keep showing some weakness, I think we can short Nasdaq down. And this is where now you got to start bringing up the multiple monitors. All right, let me get a couple alerts going on. Is ES doing? Not convinced. That's only a tiny bit of weakness. What I am doing. Tiny, tiny. Nothing crazy. I'm just gonna open up ES on my other screen. All right, ES has given us a dump. We can come up to there and we can maybe get something out of it. I wouldn't set a limit off this because you got equal highs. All right, bro, take care, man. When you first learn something, it's like building a dirt driveway, a small neural pathway, and then the more you go over it, you start building the highway in the end. Exactly, bro. It's 100% building the paths. You know what? I want to be very careful on here with NQ because I'm what I'm looking at here, right? If you see ES has got this like bigger leg, right? And like this little tiny, okay, it's like this little tiny price action here is this tiny price action NQ, pretty much, right? If you look at the time, 36, 36, right? So I'm not actually going to hold this as too much importance on NQ unless we get that major sell-off. And if NQs are lagger, NQ could sweep these highs, right? If ES wants to come up to that 50 or 80. I would like to sweep the high of the New York Open as well, which would be nice. But if ES just melts and we get something, we could just walk it down. We'll see. We'll see with the vibes, what we get. I remember someone was asked about distro on Bitcoin. Uh,
It's all order flow, man. I think this is an accumulation just based on where it is. I'm bearish on this. The only reason I'll say accumulation is because I don't see manipulation to the upsides. You know, I have a sweep to the downside, so maybe something like that. We're gonna play anything on Bitcoin. YM's got a lot of liquidity. Yeah, but YM's my leader, bro. So I'm not really concerned about this taking all that. It can, but the way I'm sort of seeing it now is kind of daily cycle. You know, potential high today, potential New York continuation. If the narrative is going to be bearish on these today, I mean, it's possible, bro. We can definitely get a bigger sweep. But I'm just going to be very careful on NQ. I don't know. It doesn't have to respect this. There's not even really much manipulation there. It all really depends on what ES wants to do. ES is showing a lot of strength. I don't really want to stare at this. I mean, we'll set the scanner on some notifications and see if we get anything, but yeah, there's no point trying to force much. I am scrolling. I think there's nothing for me to enter off. I'm not going to set a limit on this or just blindly market execute. Um, oh, there we go. Sweep that New York Open. The dollar sweep the lows, yeah? No. Let's see it went for dollar to sweep these lows, and then we'll see what we can get. I think I'm gonna go grab some food rather than just stare at the screen. So I'm gonna keep an eye on for dollar to sweep the lows. Once it does, I'll be looking for shorts on EU and GU. In terms of the indices, I'm not really that bothered about them, to be honest with you. I really think currencies are better. But yeah, I want to see what we can sort of get maybe up here, up around these 80%. If we can see some weakness on ES and stuff. Like, obviously as NQ comes in, scanner call sign, can you see ES selling off? Take it. Or it distros and you see ES selling off, but there's a lot of strength coming into these. We've got room to come higher as well. We have been selling off all week, so that also be careful that we could get a correction, something like this, because we have been selling off all week on indices. So I'm not really too bothered with them. What am I gonna eat? Probably some chicken and rice, man. Keep it simple. Some meal prep. But yeah, I'm gonna be very cautious though that these can give that bigger, and we are still in the bearish leg, but we have been selling off for a week, so also be careful. A pad crop out? Oh no, I don't need that shit, bro. That is oily as fuck. How you like it? Eating's off this week? Nathan, you're gonna get fat, bro. Isn't how the pizza? Oh no. You gotta do some extra cardio, mate. You gotta make up for that. Yeah. All right, guys, cool. Honestly, the main thing that I really like, look, if it's gonna give something on NQ in here and ES is sold off, I probably will take it. But I'm just not a fan of this momentum. And I want to see dollar. If I do anything with currencies, I want dollar to sweep these lows. And that could, I mean, it could, again, there's no correlation with indices, but it could cause these to rally a bit higher. But we'll keep an eye on it. Some pounded yam and a goosey? What is that? I'm not that cultured. Bro, you have to send me some, eh? Or next time we do a meetup, better bring me some oversized hoodies. Oh, Nathan. Oh, you thought he was skinny? Nathan is shredded, eh? Nathan is very shredded. Unless he's got fat. Fata. UK 100? Didn't even look at UK 100. Yeah, I mean, bro, it's in our demand zone. It's been in there for a while. Been trying to accumulate. Um, Starting to show strength. You know, you could probably play out this little reaccum if it gives a little micro. Yeah, potentially, bro. Never allow yourself to turn to a fatty. You are a fatty, Nathan. I'm joking. No, that's it, man. That's it. The standards. That's actually the video I've got coming up next. That's what it's about. You know, it's about having those standards for yourself. Because a lot of the time, you know, like when you're doing these habits or like when you travel or whatever, right? And we fall off the wagon, you don't fall off. You just fall back to your standards, you know? And if you stand for nothing, you're gonna fall for everything. And a lot of the time, it involves telling a lot of people no, hurting a lot of people's feelings as well. And you can't, you know, also worry about that. Yeah, yeah, that's the next one. That's the next one that's going to be coming out. Next vlog. Yeah, this is just painful at this point, just staring at things. So what is the time? Yeah, I'm gonna come back later and see what we got. There's a lot of momentum coming. I think the best thing to do is now just really wait for the dollar to sweep these lows, and then we can sort of reconvene after that. Scanner gave alert on the 1 minute on NQ. Ready? Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why he took that. I mean, there's no weakness on ES. ES already broke your POI. Yeah, I mean, why I'm fucking blasted. We had no weakness on ES or NQ, man. You know, when you're trading correlating assets, you want to wait for your laggers and leaders. Again, you know, you're gonna take losses. You're gonna take losses anyway. So I wouldn't don't always cry over a loss. But for me, you know, I didn't want to take it. You know, I couldn't see any weakness on ES. These things are just steaming. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're still up for her. You know, maybe and you've been taking a lot of trades, bro. Maybe you need to take a break. You've been taking a lot of trades, man. Gold and silver now. That's what's happened with them. All right, so we ended up fucking not distributing out. Let's see. Same thing, really, bro. I think dollar is kind of starting to influence these things. But yeah, if we can see some weakness in here, sure. But we need laggers and leaders, you know? We don't really have any of that. at this point. Your NQ and ES is lagging because you don't have the data feed, bro. So you probably have like this D up here, which means it's delayed. Does TradingView make you pay for different for different data feeds? Mate, we need to build our own TradingView, bro. We definitely need to build our own. We should get the dev to work on one of them next. But yeah, you got unfortunately got to pay for the data feed. Or you can just use like NASDAQ, not the futures like US Tech or something like that if you want live data. Or like US 30 rather than YM. And that should be live. But yeah, man, I mean it's kind of dry. There's not really much. I think pound's probably gonna give some bigger sweeps. It's in accumulation. Pound probably do this later. Keep an eye out for that. Again, I'm gonna be careful because we have been selling off kind of a week. And dollar's been rallying all week, so we can get that potential reversal. But in terms of what I'm looking for, so just to sort of wrap up before we end it, is dollar. I'll be looking for accumulations and effort coming in here. Indices, I'm not really that bothered about them. Um, I mean, we'll see if the others start showing weakness from this larger area and they start rolling over. Like, I'm not going to pay attention to these until they start entering a bearish market cycle. Like, I'm not going to short into fucking massive momentum, you know? Like, after this big motherfucker spawned, bro, I'm not shorting into that. I'm going to play continuations. I want the market to turn around, and I'll get in on the way down. Um, yeah, cool. So indices, keep an eye on them. Um, Currencies, keep that eye on. Where can we learn about more about CME contracts? Calculations? Just, honestly, bro, just Google it. Um, like honestly, but you don't even have to calculate it, bro. Like I'll be real with you. I can't even do the calculation myself. You don't need to. Use a position size calculator. Like if we go on a paper trading account, all right, and you're trading on a futures account, let's say, we're buying, right, and we want to put a stop loss in. Wait, let's go on like your futures, right? For example, you're buying and then so you're doing a limit, right? And you want to put your stop loss in. The lines come up here. So that if I want to put my buy limit here or whatever down here and my stop loss, I just come in here and choose my risk. Go from units, risk percent balance, and choose the percent of your account you want to risk. So 1% risk, 19 contracts. That's it. Well, top step, and no, you don't know. You don't have to, bro. If you're doing top step, like this is if I was trading top step, this is what I do. All right, because it's gonna be set on one contract, right, on top step. So let's say I want to enter, like obviously this is not a trade, all right, but let's say I want to do this, just for example, right? I'll just buy like that, put my stop loss in, and then it would say $100 risk. So in this case, 37, and I'll just spam the buy again until I hit my amount I want to lose. So let's say I said, oh, I want to lose $100. I just $200. All right, just keeps fucking spamming it until it hits, you know, $200 loss. 150, do it again. 168, do it again. Does that make sense? That's what I'll be doing. And let's just set in limits. And then you got to calculate, or you can just use ChatGPT. Yeah, just use ChatGPT. So just ask, so for example, you know, I'm trading MNQ
For example, let's just say, let's just say that's your entry. That's your stop. You just say, you know, again, this is fucking long. I just do the thing I mentioned, right? I just say, you know, trade MNQ, calculate my contract size for shorts. Entry is, stop loss is, well, this is long. I'll just do it the other way I showed you. Stop loss is, and then it will do it and it will calculate it for you. Da, 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 da. So, okay, so I want to risk, so let's say 100K, count, risk 1%. It'll tell me. Six contracts. But like honestly, bro, that is just long. Like honestly, what I do if I'm using Top Step is pretty much what I just showed you. So like, let's say I want to sell, right? Obviously, pretend I'm logged in. Just do, all right, sell, market execute, and then put a stop loss in. All right, boom, boom, stop, market execution. Well, obviously in this case, it's calculated the risk on TradingView. But if I didn't calculate it, so let's do it again. Let's say I didn't calculate and let's do one, I'll default it as one unit, right? One contract, put the stop loss in, and then, okay, that is, in this case, I'll see the dollar value. So let's say the dollar value on this is, on the stop loss is 168 euros. Let's say I want to risk 300 euros. I'll just do it twice, if that makes sense. Like, honestly, bro, like, it fucking does my head in trying to get my head around all the lot size shit. I've been for a full-time trading 7 going on 8 years, and I could not do that shit manually. If you're trading like CFDs, contracts for difference, you can use the Earn Forex PSC calculator, which makes life easier. ES is reacting out of here. If ES can go into this bearish market cycle, I'll probably try and play continuations down on NQ. I don't necessarily care that NQ swept that high, but it depends what ES does. If these things keep selling off, we're still in a bullish market cycle, so I want to see these things show some weakness. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go grab some food and come back in a bit. I'm in the calculator. Oh, nice, man. So sometimes it doesn't. Or yeah, I mean that's just like sometimes TradingView doesn't allow to put a trade. Well, yeah, that's just. I mean, there's no course to tell you that. That's just like kind of a bit of common sense, Like, if I'm entering on YM, right? Like, let's say what is this demo account? 107,000, right? And I don't know, I want to short, let's just pretend. And I want to short, okay, here with my stop, I don't know, all the way up there, right? And I want to risk percent and I want to risk 0.25%. I can't. My account's not big enough. Look, that's it. There's nothing else to learn. The account's not big enough. So you either trade a different symbol or trade the micro contracts, which is just smaller. So let's say you want to do that, and you just do sell, limit. Let's say put it there. All right, cool. I want to risk half. Now I can because the micro is smaller. The difference between like MYM to YM and MYM is 10 times smaller. And I mean, you can just like even go on the CME website. Um, and it will show you. Yeah, contract unit on Dow Jones is $5 a pip, I think. Yeah, one contract is $5 a pip. it says there. All right, and if I go on uh, MYM contract size, um, yeah, an MYM one contract's 50 cents a pip. But again, you ain't got to sit and calculate that, bro. That shit is long. Like honestly, if you just use the built-in calculators, it'll make your life so much easier. Yeah, just honestly, bro, use the built-in calculators. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, there's no, yeah. So I mean, where to learn about it? I don't know, bro. There's no book I read, bro. It's just through scouring online. Um, yeah, I mean, go on the CME website, bro. That's it, and just like open a paper trading account. Like you'll learn more through doing, bro. So just go on a paper trading account like we did, and just play around with it. If you're only trying to risk 0.25 and it doesn't let you, well, your account's not big enough. So you need more money in your account or trade the smaller contracts, the micro contracts. If you still can't do it, you can't risk that little with that account size. Like, yeah, that's the difference between futures and CFDs. Like futures is normally needs bigger account sizes. Silver shorts. What was that on? What's Goldilocks doing? No, Goldilocks is selling off. What's the dollar doing? What's the dollar doing? Do we have any? Gold's selling off a little bit, but not yet. And I'm gonna grab some food, guys. And oh, you got a chart. Yeah, I hope that makes sense, Hamza, bro. Let me know if not. Say if I got into an NQ, fuck no, bro. No, 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 no. You'd be targeting the next low. So it's the low of the leg here. You just target the low of your leg. So if you did, for example, like if that's your PL, like yeah, it's here. Like if you yeah, let's keep it easy. Yeah, and ask Gemini. Yeah, man. Like honestly, that's the best way to do it. Like I mean, we can maybe I'll do a boot camp episode actually on all that. I have starving. Maybe I can do a boot camp episode on it actually. Have we not done that? I thought we did one on risk management. Did we not? Yeah, maybe we didn't. What is it called on? It's 2 minutes. See what happens. That's good to me. Gold's fucking selling off. Gold keeps selling off. This is solid. If gold rallies, you're gonna get fucked. Hmm. They're a micro. Just try to. There's not a lot of weakness on it yet, but it's trying to micro. Well, it depends what gold does. Where are we? We got what was the hourly close? Kind of bullish. It all depends what gold does, because gold is selling off, but it's kind of battling between this little baby little reaccumulation here. Yeah, there's a micro. I think there's a micro solo.
Yeah, so mini and micros. Yeah, you have minis and micros. All right, cool. I'm actually gonna run off this time. So keep an eye on if gold can give that weakness. It's given some weakness, then I think silver's a great entry in here. Swing down to these lows. And it looks like gold is selling off, so yeah, this looks pretty good to take. 1 to 12. Goldilocks is trying to sell off. If gold keeps selling off, this is gonna melt. Yeah, should be good. What subscription do you need to buy to not get delayed data? It's the CME group one, bro. If you press the D, like the D at the top where it says delayed, it'll show you. It's like $10 a month, or something like that. Well, Hill was going. Might be time to start reducing the old risk. I mean, definitely I'm going to put my stop above this little high rather than that high. You just came back and missed the entry. Ah, gotta have those navigations on, man. They called it on the 2 minute, bro. Who's in the shower? Rule one. Never, bro, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, New York session, you do nothing else but be available in the chart. Yeah, gold's melting, man. This looks clean. All right, should be able to start reducing risk on it. Paying ourselves some partials. You made an example. You do, man, bro. I made that mistake many times, bro. Back in the day, I used to go fucking gym during New York session. Rookie mistakes. Yeah, but NYSC always do it. This you can't believe it didn't call it. You sure? Do you have the alert on? Check the sometimes you got to refresh it. Sometimes you might have to re-add the indicator. My best thing to check is always like if the back test mode's on and I can see the old ones. You know, like if I can see these old ones, then I know it should call them, and I'll set it on different time frames, like the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute. This was on silver futures on 2 minute. Oh yeah, well there you go. You got it on the 5, 3, and 1 minute. It didn't call it on any of them time frames, broski. 2 minutes. Yeah, but that's not the scanner's fault. You didn't set the alert on the 2 minute. That's your fault. Not being rude, bro. You didn't set it on the right time frames. So you got to set on multiple, you know? Like it's not going to call it on the 1 minute in this case. You call it on the 2 minute. So that like I'll set on like the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 3 minute, the 4 minute, the 5 minute, you know? I hope that didn't come across rude. Um, but yeah. Yeah, showing weakness. I know if, like again, don't want to be rude, bro. We can look at it, but if I'm in this, I'm not going to take another trade. We can look at it, but slowly. I would really like it to break this as well. We did sweep the open. Yeah, I think you could. I'm not gonna take anything else. But I think we could play redistros down on NQ if ES keeps selling off. I'd ideally like it to break those lows. YM's going down as well, but I'm in silver, so there's nothing else for me to trade. Well, lucky I didn't go eat. Oh, I don't want to miss this. But yeah, bro. So just to get it clarified, like make sure you got on multiple time frames the alerts, because sometimes like you'll get on the 1 minute or like the two and not the 2 minute, or the 2 minute and not the 1 minute. So yeah, gold just took those equal lows as well. I do want to see it sweep the Asia low and this low. Right, what time is it? It is about to go a 15-minute candle close. Oh, that's going to be juicy if we can close like that. It called it on the silver futures on the 2 minute. So like again, that's what like when you're doing it, you got to have alerts on multiple ones. So like I'll set alerts on Aranda data feed and on futures personally. Oh yeah, you got to set them on all the time frames, bro. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I should have been clearer, but yeah, set them on all of them, bro. Yeah, it's all good. We learn. All right, well, it's 15-minute candle closing shortly. Anyone got any other charts or questions? Oh yeah, you're in a different chart. In the next script update, can you make more of these tracking tables, like for 3 different times per asset? I mean, you can just do it like this, bro. You can do it on the tracking table, or you can just add it manually. Or you can just add it manually if you really want. Like, you can add the indicator like many times. 3 at a time? In what sense? What do you mean? Like, only have 3 things being tracked? Well, I don't think I understand, bro. You can just choose the ones. I'll track multiple. Didn't take anything on metals. Looking at indices. Yeah, I don't know, man. Indices, they're all right. We'll see what they're gonna do. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would be on the laptop. You have it ready for you. But we are looking like we're getting that sell off now on ES. So yeah, I think it would be trying to play redistros on NQ. Yeah, and we boofed. So maybe we do something like that. Like more of it. But more of what though specifically? Like I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. If you're not on mute, it might be easy to explain. Yeah, take care, bro. Wait, let me put my headset in. If you're unmuted. See someone unmuted. Yeah, that was an accident.
like these boxes I can make same assets and see 1 minute, 2 minute. Ah, I see what you mean. Like, so you can have the, but you can, bro, you can just add the indicator twice, right? So we add it twice. I think you can do that. Okay, so we have this tracking table on. We have one, two, and let's say this one. We have three, four. Yeah, you can have multiple ones on, if that makes sense. Unless, yeah, I can always ask, bro. Or as you're saying, it's like overlaps. But yeah, don't trade any of this on indices. This is just order flow. Wait for that to get swept and then play the mitigation. In terms of trades we've been taking on calls, we're doing pretty well. Pretty well. Euro earlier went TP1. Silver went TP1. NQ break even this week. So technically, no losses. 2 wins. One break even so far this week. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. We'll see what else we can get. Um, these lads helping the time pissed off that you fell off. It happens, bro. You just got to try and think now what happened? Like why did we fall off? You know? Probably because we didn't have that habit created. I mean life happens, but I feel like the difference between like a professional and an amateur is that amateurs always wait till they feel motivated before they start taking action. You know, they want to wait for that feeling before they start working. They want to wait for a certain feeling of inspiration before they start back testing or before they start doing something. But professionals, they show up even when they don't feel like it. You know, I woke up this morning, bro. I was fucking tired. Did not want to go to the gym. But it's not about how I feel, it's about what I wanted. And by the time I got to the gym and went in there and started working out, I felt better. I felt more energetic. And it's the same sort of thing with work, trading, anything. You're not going to feel like you want to do it, but then once you just force yourself to do it and you get in the habit, that's when the feeling starts to come. But then it becomes a habit. So like the easiest thing to do is plan out your day the night before and give yourself like a minimum activity to do. Like don't overwhelm yourself and give yourself some crazy hard fucking million checklist. Like if you're going to read a book, you don't just say I'm going to read a whole chapter today. You just say, look, I'm going to read one page, one paragraph. And then through doing that, half by the time you get through the one paragraph, you feel a bit, oh, this is actually interesting. Now you want to keep going because the ball's already rolling. It's always hard to get momentum at the start. So you start small. You start doing small things consistently and don't have to be perfect every day. But if you can plan the night before and set that intention and say, all right, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this. 8 o'clock, set whatever time, I'm going to set that the night before. It's just like when you go on holiday, you know you're going to the airport, you're going to wake up at fucking 3 a.m. or whatever. So you got to set that intention the night before and then just keep building the habits, bro, every day. That's what it takes 21 days to build a habit and 90 days for it to become your lifestyle. That's good, man. That's what it's about. So we'll see what happens with these. And then yeah, I mean pounds selling off, dollars rallying. I'm still going to be cautious of that bigger manipulation on the dollar. Um, but yeah, I mean gold. We'll see if gold wants to keep dropping. Still wants to keep dropping. In terms of indices, yeah, we'll have to keep watching ES and YM if they want to keep melting, and then see if we can play some redistros on NQ. It'd be nice if they can break. I think if ES can really break this is gonna really solidify that bearish bias. I mean, higher time frame still bearish. I'm still bearish on them, but I think this would make the most sense because then we've got a giant redistro, And then we can play that as our POI to go down. But yeah, why I'm doing, why I'm cracked yet? Why I'm showing weakness a little bit, but not yet. Hasn't broken the low. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a day. I'll catch up with you lot on Tuesday. We'll see. Obviously, I'll be active in the chats if there's anything I'm seeing. I'll let you lot know. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I don't think there'll be a trade like this instantaneous second, but there's still opportunity for today. So yeah, I'll come back in a bit, maybe like 20, 30 minutes and see what there is. All right, guys, take care. I'll drop the recording in the group. Anyone needs me.